I got to give a big shout out here to the team that put this day on. This is freaking awesome. Anybody learned anything today? I will just say, they've given me the mic, so I feel like I'm empowered to get a couple things off my chest. So freaking cool to see people in the room. It's, as far as I'm concerned, we work in the best industry in the world. I think we've got the best people. We're diverse, we're caring. There's so many things that we need to know. So the fact that we're all here today is a credit to the industry that we're all trying to improve. So that's pretty cool. Let's jump into this. I just thought I'd start off with a few things. You guys should get to know me. So my name's Matthew Regan, 35 years old, born and raised in South Mississauga. My favorite color is blue. I like long walks on the beach. I hate when toilet paper is put on backwards. I can't stand it. My wife would say I'm really gassy. So you guys in the front row, I had an apple for lunch. So I'll try hard to keep it in. What else? I think I mentioned blue is my favorite color. Teams. Virginia calls up, she goes, you're doing something different, people are taking notice. Okay, that's cool, but what do you really want to talk about? She goes, well, teams. I go, no. Like, what do you want me to talk about? And she goes, well, why don't you ask the audience? What do you guys want to take away for the next, 45 minutes approximately? Why don't you just blurt some things out? Any takeaways? Why are you here? Just blurt it out.
Team structure.
Structure.
I get to listen and see Matt Regan.
Oh, please, man, please, come on. So structure, you want to see me? I doubt it, but is there anything else? Hey? Compensation could be part of it, okay. So.
And how you built it, out.
Cool. Why don't I start there? Because that's kind of the thesis of what it's like you read my notes, that's awesome. So my dad had been a realtor for almost 30 years before I got into the business. I got into it 16 years ago, I was 19. I saw a lot. Like a 19-year-old he thinks he knows a lot, but he actually doesn't. So, if you've been in the industry for some time, you've seen some really great things. You've seen some interesting things. You go into people's homes, people sell houses for all sorts of reasons. But you also see some pretty ugly things and some pretty sad things. And, it affected me. It definitely affected me at a young age. You're immature. You hope you're doing a good job. You start to make some money. You don't have a lot of, responsibilities. Things are going really well. They're going really well. So that's 19, 20, 21, 22. I began to get into my mid-20s, and I was working like a freaking dog. I bought my first house when I was 23. I moved out. My dad didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. Talk to me for 2 weeks. I worked with him at the time. He thought it would be a bad investment. My money's better off in the stock market. But I went and bought this house against his wishes. It was a blast. It was a freaking frat house. My brothers were always over. My brothers meeting my friends. I had a river in the backyard that was a swimming pool. It had a water fountain. It had all these really cool things. And then I began to notice this pattern. And I was probably around 25, 26. And I'd come home at the end of the day, and they're often long days, and I'm lying in bed, and I just would try to think about what I did that day. And I kid you not, I'm not exaggerating in the slightest, I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember what I did that day. I know the bank account was filling up. I know I'm selling a lot of houses. It on the outside, from an outsider's perspective, it looks good. Got the AMG car, I got a nice house, got the pool, I do some traveling. Yeah, it looks great, right? So, at the time, we had a lady that worked with us. Her name is Tammy Snow. She's passed away now, but she was instrumental in helping me formulate what we've got today. And Tammy came in to basically be what we would call an office manager, even though I didn't know what an office manager really was at the time. And one day, she calls me into her office, and she goes, you know what, Matthew, you're being a real dick. I'm like, excuse me? I'm being a dick? What does that mean? She goes, you're being a dick. You're not present, you don't treat people well, you don't talk to people well, you never have time for everybody. There was a saying within the office that don't tell Matthew how the pregnancy is going, just let him know when she's going into labor. It used to be a joke. But then I got thinking, when you start to equate somebody close to you like Tammy giving you the hard truth, you're lying in bed at night, you can't remember what you had for breakfast, it began to take a bit of a toll. So I'm going to just fast forward a little bit. Royal LePage shows these great trips every year if you make the certain tier of award, and it was Africa. And this was about 7-8 years ago. So I'm like, Africa, cool, that'll be awesome. But you know what? I never really got to do much traveling. Like, I didn't go to university, I didn't graduate and then go travel for a month. So I decided to pack up and go to Thailand. I left early December, and I left for 6 weeks to Thailand, 2 weeks in Africa. Anybody want to guess how I felt? 26, 27 years old. I have an office manager, got a couple people working for us. Anybody want to guess how I may have felt before getting on that airplane? Nervous. Shit in your pants. Is the business still going to be there? Oh my God, am I going to remember what I did when I get home? Like, what's going to happen? Are my clients going to fire me? What's my bank account going to look like? That's what began to happen, right? So, long story short, again, is I go to Thailand and I go to Africa and I come home. And guess what?
Things are good.
Things are good, man. Things are so good that year that I added up the amount of time out of province, and it was 6 months that year, and we ended up at that point having a banner year. So, your wheels begin to spin because you're going, wow, this is against everything that I thought would happen. It's everything against what I thought would happen. So that's Africa. Later on, I'm in my late 20s, I was about 27, 28, and I fell in love with Dubrovnik, Croatia. Anybody been like, there we go. So you can, if you've never been, I highly recommend it. So for a month in the summer, I would rent an old apartment right in the old town. And if you like architecture and old Europe and nice wine and good food and people watching, you gotta go. So that became my lifestyle in, sometime around July and August for a number of years, and I'd have some friends come down, and it was just a blast. And anybody Croatian in the audience? Rakia? What is Rakia?
Plum brandy. Plum brandy.
So for the Italians, it's plum brandy, but it's kind of like your equivalent to grappa.
Grappa, but it's different.
Grappa, but different. Okay, same, but same. I don't know how to finish that. So a couple too many grappas one night, and I'm lying face down in my bed. The room won't stop spinning. It's probably like 11 in the morning, which if you know me is that's like the next day equivalent to sleeping in. And I don't feel like moving. I put on my iPad and I type onto YouTube like successful people or whatever I put in, and Richard Branson comes up. Sir Richard Branson, he is top 100 wealthiest people in the world, something like, he has over 100 companies that he runs. When you really think about 100 companies, how's that humanly possible? 100 companies, how's that humanly possible? Mark had a slide on at 11, and it was the brokerage, and there was 200 stick figures, and under the brokerage, there's 200 different businesses. That's weird. It's foreign to me, to be honest. So Richard goes into this interview, and the most powerful question gets asked to Richard. Anybody want to guess what it was?
How do you do it?
How do you do it? Anybody want to know what his answer was? Yeah, I heard a bunch of the same, different words, same answers. You delegate, or in his words, I surrounded myself with people that were better at doing things than me. I surrounded myself with people that are better at doing things than me. So that's 27, 28. That's one of the summers when I came home from Croatia. My parents were up north at the cottage. They'd rented a cottage for decades because my dad refused to own. He was a real estate agent, an old school. I'm not owning a cottage. It's work, and there's trees, and there's bugs, and there's maintenance, and there's snow, and there's 1,000 moving parts, and I don't want anything to do with it. So what did I do? I went and bought a cottage the fall of, it was 6 years ago. I partly, just keep it between us, but I partly bought it because he just thought it was a bad idea, kind of like he thought my first house purchase would be. And he goes, you know what, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna run a real estate business and have a cottage? how are you going to do it? And I said, anybody want to guess what I said to him? I have no flippin' clue. We'll figure it out as we go. There's no plan, there's no rhyme or reason behind this. Anybody in the room own cottages or have cottage experience? Man, wow. Maybe I should have come to you guys before I bought a cottage. A lot of work. A lot of fun.
Lots and lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Expensive to run. Anybody live physically at their cottage? Like, more time at the cottage than they do in the city.
I moved from the city to the cottage.
Okay, so you might be like a half hand. So no hands went up on. I don't think any hands went up on that question. So what does a typical GTA family do that owns a cottage Monday to Sunday? What does that week look like? How do you get to the cottage? When do you go? There's traffic. What night? Friday night, man. Kids in the car, pack it up, hit Costco, go. Long weekend, you might not get there till Sunday. Monday's the holiday, which means you don't get home till Wednesday because of the traffic, right? It's brutal. So what I ended up doing, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go Thursday night, and I'm going to come home Sunday because I don't want to sit in Friday traffic, and I'll just take the day off on Friday. So I go Thursday to Sunday. At the time, we were having Monday morning meetings on our team. It's like, but then who likes Mondays? Nobody likes Mondays. So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. Thursday to Tuesday. I'm going up Thursday night, and I'm going to come back Tuesday morning. And we're going to move our office meetings to Wednesday. And I'm like, Wednesday's good. It's hump day. People are getting ready for open houses. They're getting into a different mindset, blah, blah, blah. So that began to go really well. And so far, I'm probably giving you a 1-year timeline. This didn't happen just overnight. Anybody been to Muskoka before? Nice, not nice, is it okay?
Sounds beautiful.
I heard awesome, I heard beautiful. National Geographic would have actually ranked it in the top 10 places to be in the world in the fall of 2016. It's just a great place to be. Where am I going with this? I woke up one day and I said, I'm not going home. I'm not going home. Screw this. You can have red lights. You can have traffic jams and people on their horns, and you can just have a lot of the noise that the city brings. What do you think happens when you're, pulling in the vast majority of sales on your team? You've got responsibilities to the office manager and your sales partners and the marketing people and your clients who are entrusting you to sell houses. Like, what do you think begins to happen? You're forced, not forced in like, I'm going to throw you off a cliff. It's like you're forced in a really good way to go from crawling to walking and walking to jogging and so on. And the business didn't fall apart. In fact, quite the opposite began to happen. When you remove yourself from the business, in my case, it was physically. If you called me up to show a house, I wasn't going to get in the car and drive back down to South Mississauga or Oakville. I was going to have to delegate that. A proof needs to be done on a marketing piece. Well, you know what? Like, can't somebody else do that? We have guidelines. What about decisions around money? Like, who's going to cut the check? Oprah always said, make sure you sign your own checks. So I'm going against the grain. I'm like, how do I figure this out? Like, how do I live a life, the life that I want, where I'm not attached to my business, but that my business still affords me the freedom to go and do and live the life that I ultimately want? So I'm at the cottage one day, and I would have been probably like 31-ish. And I had this red chair. There's a red chair in my office that overlooked the lake. And, my perfect day is silence. My perfect day is silence, my red chair, coffee, and books. Really exciting, right? Really exciting, I know. And then I had my squirrel and chipmunk friends outside, because Monday to Friday on Lake Muskoka, there's nobody there. There's the odd boat that goes by, but there's really nobody there. There's very little distractions. 2.5 acres, I can barely see my neighbor. In the winter, it's the best, because literally no one's there. No one's there all year round. And what ended up happening is I got into this state. It was like a state of, like, my world began to slow down. Time still ticked away, but it felt much slower. It was much more present. No longer did I go to bed at night and wake up in the morning going, what the heck did I do yesterday? And I began to look at business a little differently. I'm going to actually say I took it a bit more seriously, because at the end of the day, I look at my real estate business just like any other business. And when I look at business, I'm not, I don't think I'm smart, but I think I'm good at doing things. So if you just teach me how to do something, I'll go do it. But can I come up with the idea? Not really. Anybody have children, or does anybody recently played with Lego? Okay, Mark Richards and his Lego. I'd love to pick Celine's brain on how that goes down. So I got 7 nieces and nephews, Legos everywhere. Come over, Uncle Matt, let's play with Lego. I get so agitated when I go there because the Lego's everywhere. And it's all mixed in with all these different sets. There's no instructions. The box has been torn to shreds, so I don't even know what we're building. But at the core of Lego, it's really simple. On the box is the end product. That is what is ultimately inside the box, the photo on the box. You open up the box, you take the bag of Lego, you put it on the table, you rip it open, and it goes everywhere. You've got all these pieces, color coordinated, different shapes, different styles, they have different functions, but they all have one thing in common. When you put them together and you follow the instructions that come with it, you end up with this product. And in my head, it's business. So, teams. Disclaimer, this may get heated. This may get a little uncomfortable. My Irish blood's going to begin to boil. The word team in real estate irks me to no end. It just irks me. I got a team. I want to start a team. I don't know how to start a team. I don't know why I should have a team. Why do you have a team? I don't know. I just do. It's the thing to do. Everybody else is. The guy down the hallway has a team. I'm going to hire more people. I'm going to get an admin. I'm going to do all this stuff, and I'm going to go conquer the world. Okay, great, but what's on the front of your Lego box? Have you thought about the instructions and the pieces that you're going to need to build your Lego? And if you go back to the Richard Branson, if you go back to Africa, you can't do a lot of this stuff unless you surround yourself with amazing people. People that can ultimately do things better than, at least in my case, than I could. Anybody like doing open houses on a weekend? Be honest, before you put your hand up or down, do you truly like doing an open house at the end of June or early July? Do you really like doing it? Not one hand went up. Okay, so 7 o'clock at night. Sorry, let's go 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Buyer client calls up. They've got some time this evening at 7 o'clock. Between 7 and 8:30, they want to see 4 houses. And it's the playoffs, and the Raptors are like Kawhi, Game 7. Who was that against? Philly. You got an opportunity to go to the game. What are you going to go do? Most of us may go show those houses. So I can't stand being a real estate agent, and quite frankly, I'm not good at it. Rosa's in the room. I won the award last week. We did team year-end awards. Rosa, what award do you remember that I won? Do you remember? Worst with paperwork. Most likely to lose paperwork. Not interested. But Rosa's a freaking whiz at paperwork, and she works numbers, and it makes my head spin, and she always has the books balanced and the bills paid and all these 1,000 moving parts. She's got her finger on the pulse. And then we've got people like Nancy, who's a single mom with 2 daughters, and she has this amazing ability to juggle time away with her kids, yet she freaking kills it in selling houses. Last year we had 2 in what Royal LePage would call a Red Diamond Award winner, which is $500,000 plus in GCI. That's freaking amazing. It's amazing. How do they get there? Well, I made a decision in 2017 to just stop selling houses. In fact, I made 2 decisions. I don't wear a watch because I don't need to be reminded of the time. I know time ticks away and there's nothing I can do about it. So I stopped wearing a watch. And the second thing is I don't want to ever sell a house again. I don't ever want to sell a house again. So you sit there and you go, but you have to sell houses because that's how you generate revenue. So what do? What type of people? Build it. Okay, wait, stop. Say that again.
Build a team and leverage. Build a team and leverage.
Build a team and leverage. That normally, and maybe 9 times out of 10 is the right answer. So I'm not disputing your answer. But that's not my answer. Build a team and leverage. Well, yeah, I mean, at the core, scale and leverage are really important in business, but you can't just go get any type of person. See, I have a filter in place. My mom, like some of your moms, is one of those sweet ladies. She's, she works hard. She stayed home to raise 3 children. She doesn't know a lot about finance or the business world. She's simple in an amazing way. Would I send you, or you to go and list my mother's house? Would I send you, or you to go and show her properties that she wants to buy? And it's amazing when you create really simple filters, how difficult it is to find people that you truly trust. If you can't trust the people that you're bringing on your team to go and sell your own mother's house, you shouldn't have them on your team. If you're sitting in the audience and you work on a team and you don't trust the team leader, why are you there? And this is where it's a backhanded apology. Like, when we interview, and I get somebody and I go, one of my questions at the beginning is, why are you here? It's sometimes a little intimidating, right? Why are you here, Daryl? Why are you here? Well, my team leader, they've been taking my leads. Took my leads. Like, I sold a house on 123 John Street, and 2 weeks later, 789 John Street comes on the market. How did that happen? And, don't get me wrong. Like, I've been an agent, and then I've been on the leading side of things, and there's always 2 sides to a coin. But there is a common denominator that I really don't like about teams. One, if you're an agent working on a team and you're being lied to, cheated, or stolen from, do something about it. Don't complain. Don't gossip. Don't go spreading rumors within the team. Don't create a cancer. It's not necessary. If you have a problem, go to the team leader. And then most agents won't go to the team leader. Why? Because the team leader, and I've been on this perch, I was the one that was called a dick, so I got it out of the way early. Don't be a dick. Don't steal from your people, don't cheat them, and don't lie from them. If you're doing that, you shouldn't be a team leader. It's not sustainable. It isn't sustainable, and it's just not right. But I see it so much, it just makes my blood boil, and I can't figure it out. So I'm kind of venting, and I'll move off on this one. The other thing that really bugs me about teams, and actually Mark talked about it earlier, but I'm going to go on a rant. He was really polite about it.
I want to make a complaint about that.
What? What are you going to make a complaint about? Come over here.
Just to make a point, when I first started in the industry 25 years ago, I started with Matt's dad. So It's great to see children taking over that are more vocal about their business, because Mr. Regan Sr. would have never been up there talking about this. He avoided confrontation and conflict. And I just love that you're saying that, because that was your dad's way of doing business. So if I stopped you,
No.
continue.
He was a straight shooter, almost to a fault. So let me be a straight shooter. If you came to me and said, I'd like you to buy my company, what do you think I would say to you? I'd like you to buy my company. What do you think I'd say to you? Why are you selling? But let's say I know you. Like, I feel comfortable with you on the outside. It looks like you got a good business. What might I ask you? Could be people. Could be people. Let me simplify this. Anybody own stock in the stock market? A lot of us do. Rhetorical question. Why did you buy the stock? Why do we buy stock in Apple, IBM, Google, Facebook? Why do you buy stock? Do you buy stock to lose money? Hey? What? Hold on. Time out. Why isn't everybody that raised their hand that owns a stock not blurting out, I bought it to make money? Unless you're sitting there holding shares in Berkshire and you're going down to Omaha once a year to listen in on Warren's famous talk, which I might actually buy that to lose money just so I could go there and listen to him, you're buying it to make money. And my pet peeve is Royal LePage has done a really good job. Remax has it too. All the big brokerages have it. Is awards, recognition, which is extremely important in a company. But it's also counterproductive to us, because the moment I lose sight of what it means to own and operate a business, I have a problem. Because when I come to you to buy my company, and I open up my balance sheet, and I'm not making money, but on the outside I'm grossing a lot. Gross versus net, it was talked about already today. I got a real problem with that. When I learn that the top 100, Remax and Royal LePage, bringing both of us into this, when I learn there's team leaders within the top 100 of these companies that don't make any money, it makes my blood boil. But their rankings look good. Sell a lot of houses, big volume, lots of transactions. I don't get it. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for a couple of things. I'm here so that I can do what I want, when I want, not be attached to my business. And then I'm also here for the people that have entrusted me to come and work alongside me to ultimately grow their business so that they can do what they want, when they want. So the key for me, having stepped out of sales, is to change my mindset. And it's really corny. It's a word that makes me still to this day kind of like, I don't know, I shudder. And it's a 4-letter word. And it's love. The word is love. And if you don't love the people that you work with, I don't know, man, I just don't think it's a lot of fun. I just don't think it's a lot. I don't think it's a fun industry. Any parents in the room? A lot of parents. Okay, out of all the parents in the room, with a 10-year-old or older, how many times has that 10-year-old or older, how many times have they pissed you off? How many times have they done what they go against what you ask them to do? They just piss you off, and you get frustrated, and you get angry. Do you still love them at the end? Do you still want the best for them? Yeah, I'm gonna guess you do. Got a 16-week puppy at home, Penelope. I call her Little P. She pisses me off. She's pooping in the house, she's peeing. She ran out the door the other day on a Wednesday morning when I needed to be at the office on time, and that messed everything up, but I still love her. She actually teaches me things that I didn't know about myself, and that's what having a team does. And when you surround yourself with people, they're always going to challenge you. There are egos, there's selfish reasons as to maybe why they're on the team. But your job is to try and pull it together. Your job is to, hire people that you trust to sell your mom's house. And I'll just wind it up with this, and if you want to ask some questions, cool. If you can wake up in the morning with a new client in your mind, your client is the people that work alongside you, it changes everything. It changes everything. They're giving you what you want, and you're helping them get what they want, and that's a relationship, and that's love, and it's all those corny things. But at the end of the day, it's hard, but it's certainly not impossible. So I can drop the mic and I can leave, or we can ask. There's already a hand, so phew. Okay, thanks. Go for it.
Hey Matthew, thanks for everything that you shared. I just want to know a little bit about your retention and then your compensation plans with your team members.
Retention. Wow, sorry, Amy. Okay, sorry. Retention and compensation. So do you want to know about retention, like how many people turn over in a year and why do they leave?
Well, do you have a lot of turnover, I guess? Is that the question? Do you have people coming in and out quite a bit?
No, we don't. And I always equate it to this. I was single from the age of, 21, 22, up until 31. I have commitment issues. Any men in the room with commitment issues? Probably. You don't have to put your hand up. The reason I had commitment issues is because I wasn't about to come alongside you or let you come alongside me unless I felt we were aligned. Unless we had some difficult talks like expectations, accountability. What's your role? What's my role? What can I expect from you on a daily basis? And what can you expect from me? I think of two people that have been asked to leave the team in the past couple years, and it was really simple as to why. We just didn't align. Didn't mean that they weren't a bad person. They weren't stealing from us. It wasn't like that. It just didn't align. And we run a pretty tight ship. Like, I will go as far as saying it's difficult to be on our team. You know why? You're expected to prospect, talk to people, and sell houses. Prospecting, I don't know if many agents do it. I'm convinced we don't. We rely on the magic pill like social media and what's the next shiny object that's going to help me sell houses? It's prospecting, man. You got to do your work. And the people that have left, the people that don't stay, generally don't grasp that. Splits, I'll go there. Anybody want to guess before we go there who's got the best split on our team?
The one who sells the most.
Okay, somebody said me. How many think it's me? Who's got the best split on the team?
No way.
But wait a sec, hold on. Splits matter, right? And you want the highest split when you join my team, don't you? So people are usually, not you guys at least seems, is that people seem generally surprised when I say, I actually have the lowest split on the team. Splits, ready? I'm gonna go quick. And Rosa, you might have to back me up in case I'm wrong. You bring on a listing, it's 50-50, we cover all the expenses. If the Regan team can generate a listing and we assign it to you, it's called a point person, you get 20 points on the listing. You get all leads that come through that listing sent to you. You get open house opportunities. You can double end. If you pick up a buyer, it falls under the buyer splits. It's all done based on gross commission earned. There's 3 tiers. It's 0 to 100,000 is 60-40. 100 to 250 is 70. 250 and higher is 80. If we give you a buyer, it's 50. It is January 16th today. Okay, and Royal LePage's fiscal year beginning is November 15th or December 15th? They're always changing it. It's around December. We already have a sales partner on our team in the 80th percentile on all her buyer splits moving forward. Here's where I'm really going with this. The people that work for you should make as much freaking money as they can and as they want to. And the split should be fair. What is the saying? Don't pinch a penny. Can anybody finish this? To save a pound. Do not pinch a penny to save a pound. If you're not making enough money, your splits could be wrong, and that's okay. And there's somebody in the room, I won't say their name, who I have tremendous respect for, Mark Richards, who did something amazing to me when he sat his team down and said, the splits need to change. But then he did the most amazing thing. He opened up his business and he said, this is why. This is why. It's a value proposition back to his team. If you're a team leader and you're not making money, cut back on your expenses. Look at your expenses. And possibly look at the split. It may not be fair. It may not be right. And by the way, I don't think there's one like shoe fits all. I don't. Yes, we follow the Royal LePage fiscal year accounting. It's just way easier. Hey, Mark.
Great job, Maddie. Always love hearing you speak. Quick question for you. So, with the MRT team and you always starting and the way you progress with being the face of that company, doing the change, and I think a lot of people have insecurities about how do they, although they are the face of the name brand or the brand of it, how do they back off and get that strength to their team?
So good. So how do you, I'm going to reword it. How do you step out of selling and go from being kind of like the number one producer to the worst producer? Trust. Next question. And you know what? I'll give it to you. Like, what would be a reason for a team leader to not step out of selling real estate? Okay, team's not producing enough. Clients only want to deal with you. I made that clear that I don't like selling. Somebody said something?
You don't like paperwork?
Ego? What about money? How's the team leader with their finances? You see, if you look at it from a business standpoint, what happens when you take away your number one salesperson who generates the most revenue? What happens to the company? You get attrition. You sell less houses. You make less money. So what you have to understand, if anybody in the room wants to stop selling houses, is that for the first year, maybe 1 to 3 years, you just may not sell enough houses. And now you can begin to see why the rankings piss me off. They piss me off. They don't account for the future. Oh, wow, the Regan team sold less houses last year and the ranking wasn't as good. Oh, they really fell off their horse on the Toronto Real Estate Board rankings. Wow, that didn't look good. They must not be doing well. So if you actually care, and I think Amy hit the hammer on the nail, if ego gets in the way, stepping out of your business is impossible. If you're financially sound, if you trust the people that you've got there to pick up the slack, it's amazing. Because I'm going to reword this now. When the team leader steps out of his business or her business from selling, does the phone just stop ringing? No. So what do? Right. You make sure there's somebody to answer the call, that can go on the listing appointment, that can show my mom some houses because she wants to downsize to a condo that you trust. And then you have to trust that they're going to provide great service and that they're going to close and you're going to pay them well so that they want to come back the next day excited to go to work. An excited person, notice I don't say employee, or I've never once said just now that this is a person that works for me. I work for them. I work for you. I work for you. Yeah, Jeff.
What was your process in letting your clients know that you're stepping up in business?
We have Allison sitting in the first front row here, and Allison has the tough task. Oh, Allison, here you go. What do you say when a client calls up and they want to list their house and they ask for me? Just take it.
So when they call in, usually I'll speak to them and find out what their circumstances are, and I match them up with one of our sales partners. And if I do say, it gets into the conversation where I say that Matt isn't selling anymore, it's that he hasn't been doing it for several years, and all of our sales partners are empowered by Matt to make all the major decisions. So they're confident, and you do a really good job of not just sending them out, they've been trained well.
Thanks, Allison. It kind of leads to a bigger question, and I did that answer the question. Like you can't lie. Oh, Matt's sick. He's on vacation. His wife's gonna have a baby. She's not. There's a puppy at home. Yeah.
Did you let them all know though?
No.
So it was just all of a sudden.
Very gradual. Sold cards used to have my face on it. Off. We do a monthly mailer. Off. My face comes off. Everything. You take your face off. Everything. Think of Apple. And when Steve Jobs was alive, was Steve Jobs doing all the commercials? Was his face on all of the advertising? When you buy a Apple product, did it have Steve on it? Does it anywhere say Steve? Does the stock certificate that the shareholder buys say Steve? No, it's a company. You're building a brand with great people that share similar values. Go back to your childhood. You are the product that you keep. You are who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with great people, the stepping out process is really easy.
And one of the other things we did was give the agents on the team their own identity. So people would get to see their names around neighborhoods, and it would build up each sales partner on the team. So it wasn't just your name, it was all of them. So they got to recognize them.
Yeah. There's two ways, I think, to run a real estate business. You can buy leads, you can buy business in the form of advertising. Again, as Mark said, it's really expensive. If you don't run a team and you think it's easy, A, it's not, and B, you better have a big checkbook behind you because you may not make money for a while. The second way is what Gary Keller would call the 33 touch point system, and he goes, just work the people you already know. You get referrals that way. I put out a silly article, an essay on some of the realtor platforms on social media the other day, and everybody got it wrong. It's called 1,000 True Fans. And then I put, it's 100 true fans. And then in the essay it says 1,000 true fans, and then at the end it says 100. And my phone blew up, like spelling error. This doesn't make any sense. I go, did you read it? Oh, I didn't, because it all starts with the relationship. So what Allison was saying is we put a big emphasis on putting, if Daryl works with me and Marcia's Daryl's client, and I send Marcia a video with my face on it, does she care? No, she doesn't know me and I don't know her. But if we empower Daryl, and Daryl sends a video, or an email comes from Daryl, that's the relationship that we're forming here. Now, I get paid to do that, so hopefully Marcia transacts with Daryl. Daryl makes money, I make money, and Marcia is extremely happy. So if you're sitting there fearful of, but they only want me, you have to trust me, and then you have to trust yourself. And if you can get those two things in check, trust the people that are on your team. And if you don't, you may want to reconsider the people you have on your team. Hey, Tom.
The team name.
Yeah.
So especially when you stepped out of actually selling, the team name from having your last name and for you as so long being the face to having a generic community name, or had you ever thought about that, or I just want to be on that?
Yeah, I gave that a lot of thought. It was pretty simple. There was 3 words in our brand, the Matthew Regan team. There's nothing wrong with the. I like the word team. Thanks to my dad, the word Regan, the name Regan was established and he didn't screw it up, and I almost screwed it up a couple times, but so far we're still alive. We made it grow. So, so Tom, what if I just dropped Matthew from the Matthew Regan team and just called it the Regan team? Would you guys still call me? Would you still associate selling or buying a house with that brand? So that was a big one, because there's a lot in a name. There's a lot in a name. Like when you think of Apple, like if you were born tomorrow with a brain and you transformed into an adult where you could think, and I said, hey, go buy a phone, or you're like, what phone should I buy? And I'm like, buy an Apple phone. You're like, what? Like I see a beautiful Apple laptop there with a Macintosh Apple. Like there's a lot in the name. I chose to keep Regan. I don't think it'll be a mistake if I ever wanted to, and I say this hypothetically, sell my company. Every decision I make, I try to think of it like I'm a publicly traded company. If you called me up and said, I want to buy your company, could you buy my company, and I sell it to you, and I go live in Hawaii for the rest of my days, could you make money off of my company called the Regan team? I think you could. I think. Time will tell. Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake you made when you first started your team?
The biggest mistake I made when I first started my team was not knowing what a team actually was. My team at the beginning was just a grouping of people that we called a team. That was a mistake. The second mistake was I couldn't fire somebody that I wanted to fire because she made a lot of money. She made us a lot of money. And I'm like, I can't let her go. But it was problem after problem, gossip after gossip, headache after headache. Finally, I woke up, I don't know what the turning point was, and that person had to go. You know what happened? 2 more left. We went from a team like this to that. And it was extremely rewarding. It was weird. It was a weird feeling. But what you quickly learn, like stepping out of sales, is that if you have good people around you, they pick up the slack. So you run a business, right? And it's ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows. And I'm not tall enough, but if I could keep going and I climbed on that chair, if I draw a straight line, as long as I'm going like that, I'm okay. I'm cool with that. I expect things to go wrong. If you sat in on a Wednesday morning meeting, if things are going too smoothly, in my head I'm going, F that, I'm about to disrupt the hell out of this meeting. Everybody's agreeing with each other. Oh, I'm too polite, you're right. Oh, that's so good. No. Disruption alert, we need to fix things. Something needs to be thrown into the mix that's going to stir this pot.
Listening to what you said about Steve and what you said about Regan, I'm interested in why you chose to have bring in identity to the sales team. Was that always, or was it only when you decided to step away?
Yeah, that's awesome. The identity part I was almost forced into it, right? Because maybe forced is too strong of a word. Maybe it's realization. And I just come back to my Daryl and Marcia example. Like, I know team leaders, and there's probably some at this conference, that think they rule their market. They think their shit don't stink. They think they're the mayor. They think everybody knows them, and they're entitled to every lead that comes through that door. And I disagree with that. If you're a relationship-based business model. So if I'm buying business as the team leader, spending a lot of money to generate cold leads, you have an argument with me, but we're not that way. We believe in relationships. So to answer the question, it was a realization that if I invest in Daryl, who can develop more meaningful relationships with Marcia, then Daryl's business should grow and so should mine. Because when Daryl services Marcia and kicks ass, he gets a commission, and then she tells her friend and his friend and her friend and out for dinner and at the hockey rink, and it compounds. So you leverage Daryl to scale Marcia to bring money full circle back through Daryl and into the company. And so long as I keep reinvesting that into the people, then the company compounds and you make more money. Hey, Jeff.
I'm interested to know what your role is. So, in stepping out, what does your day-to-day look like now? What do you do within the
Yeah. So lately I've been getting asked that a lot, and it's to be vulnerable with that. It's real. I struggle with it. It's actually like a bit. It's hard. And we were in Collingwood last week, team retreat, and we had this young guy on our team. And at dinner he goes, Matt, do you miss selling houses? Like, do you miss that? And it was such a simple question. And my answer was no. But as I got thinking, like over the days now, it's been a week, I actually really miss it. Because I'm confident in my ability. I know I can go and get business. I know I can win listing appointments. I have a good value proposition. I can get full commission. Like, I know I can do a really good job at that. But I also know that's not the promise that I made to my business model, and more importantly, it's not the promise I made to my team. So with that comes a shift in mindset going, I know I'm really good at ABC. If I want to build an army, why don't I teach these people how to go and do what I do? And the cool thing is, just because I do it one way doesn't mean that that's the right way. Or you might sit here today and may take little tidbits and you'll go back and tweak your own way of doing things. I think that's been fun actually to watch. Yeah.
For a lot of us that have been around for a lot of years, and I'll speak for myself, I've been around for 35 years. My good friend Daryl, we've all been around at the same time. In the older ways, and I think Bob Mann was obviously one of those type of people that it was different. Our names brought us to where we were. Now all of a sudden we're dropping our name. I have my son and my daughter with Cal here, part of our team. So I'm literally dropping my name to enlighten the brand, the Pucci brand. Did that affect you?
I don't think so.
It's not about ego. I think that sometimes we confuse the two. It's not about ego. I think that in a community where we serve in the Durham region, where we have been known as, Angelo, and we forget his last name, all of a sudden we're dropping that. Of course, I got my son who was also moving to university with regards to the Pucci brand will carry forward. Because at the end of the day, they're the new general.
Yeah. So on my notes, chicken scratch notes, I wrote down a few things I wanted to tell you guys that I forgot to tell you. I'm an introvert. I'm very shy, though I come out. Extroverted people on the outside are generally introverted on the inside. I just don't like people generally. Like, I love people, but they like, ugh, like what if I run into somebody at the grocery store? That's how I think. That's why I don't go to the grocery store. And so I'm a bit of a hermit. I'm a hermit. So like, it was a late night in Dubrovnik on La Strada, 4 a.m. Had a couple pops, and I entered into a push-up competition with this guy. And I'm a very competitive person, and this guy challenges me to a push-up competition 4 a.m. I'm down there on the street, dirty street. People are crowding around like, what are these two guys doing? And I wallop this guy from Europe in a push-up competition. And I get a tap on the shoulder from this girl, and she's like, you're Matthew Regan, you sold my parents' house up to come see. Or I'm at the pump and patio, local watering hole, having lunch. Phone rings, it's a client. Matthew, I'm watching you. Well, that's funny, I don't see you here. No, I'm watching you. What? I'm at home, and my daughter's home from university, and there's a photo of you and her on Facebook, and you're wearing a kilt, and she's on your shoulders, and it's St. Patrick's Day. What do you think? I'm cringing, right? I'm fired. Oh no, everyone's gonna know. And the guy's bursting out laughing. He's like, man, this is why I hired you. But it could also have gone the other way. And I think these like personal insecurities of mine have led me to go, no, you can take the first name. I don't want my name anywhere. This is a brand. This is not about me. It's about the people that make up the team. I truly believe that. I want that. And I have every reason to want to continue down that road because I'm insecure when it comes to that stuff. We're probably going to get the hook here. Guys, honestly, freaking awesome. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thanks.